beautiful night here in Netanya, and nice mild summer night here. Tomorrow we leave for Tiberias, and I understand it's going to be about 102 degrees there in Tiberias, and we're going to enter another phase of our 51st Israel Gospel Outreach here in the Holy Land. Netanya is a little bit more peaceful than Tel Aviv. Tel Aviv is just a crazy place in terms of, you know, it's a city that plays. There's a saying here in Israel that says, Tel Aviv plays, Haifa pays, and Jerusalem prays. And of course, Tel Aviv is where all the nightlife is and all those other things, concerts and things of that sort. And of course, Haifa is the working capital, if you will, sort of like almost a breadbasket of Israel with the high technology offices and things of that sort. And of course, Jerusalem being the holy city. But when you're here in Netanya, it's very, it's not as crazy. Yeah, you have a lot of, you know, hotels and stuff like that here, little housing developments, but it's not as crazy as Tel Aviv. This is the Vert Hotel right there, and last March Todd Baker and I stayed right here at this hotel. They treated us like royalty. They always treat us like royalty when we're here in Israel. I decided to take a stroll by myself tonight here in Netanya. And I just wanted to walk by and show all of you this. Again, it's a really mild night, cloudy, and there is the Mediterranean Sea at night. So you can get a little bit of a close up there so you can see. A little bit choppy, but that's the Mediterranean Sea. And of course, you can see here, you have a helicopter, not military, but it's a helicopter. I can only imagine the ancient ships that sailed these very waters 2,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago. And of course, going north this way, Hiram sent ships from Lebanon to cruise over here across the Mediterranean, which of course in the Bible it's known as the Great Sea. And they would have ships coming through here going south, and then they would stop over at Jaffa, or in biblical times Joppa, or Yaffe, or Yaffo in Hebrew. Yaffe is beautiful in Hebrew. Yaffo is what is today Joppa, and that is where they would dock the ships in biblical times there in Jaffa, unload it, and then cart those materials off to Jerusalem to rebuild the first Jewish temple. And so we know that 2,000 years ago, this very Mediterranean Sea, the Great Sea in the Bible, Paul took 3 missionary journeys sailing on this very sea. His last journey would have taken him across this Mediterranean here, and would take him all the way straight to Rome, where he would die in Rome. And so I just wanted to just briefly share the nightlife here in Netanya and see if we can get a shot in the distance over there. Our hotel is there in the distance. And let's see if we can walk a little bit, okay? So I'm gonna grab my bag here. And we're going to walk the nightlife here in Netanya. Many people ask me all the time, well, why is it called Netanya? And if you heard me in the past, why it's referred to as Netanya, before I get to that, let me just take you a little bit over here. Sort of looks a little ancient, doesn't it? And you're getting a better view of the choppy Mediterranean Sea from here. So let's see if we can go over here a bit. Now you see, I can do this in Israel. I can walk these streets at night in Israel, anywhere in the Holy Land, without the fear of being mugged, without the fear of being shot at, without the fear of being beaten up. I can do this here at night in the Holy Land without no fear whatsoever. That just goes to prove time and time again what I've said all along. Israel is one of the safest places that anybody can go to. So we've got a little bit of a closer view here. And, it says danger. As you can see, it says right here in Hebrew, Sanuna Mafulet. In other words, danger, landslide. And so let me see if I can get another close-up shot here. And again, there it is. You can see the Great Sea. Daniel talked about the Great Sea. He saw 4 beasts coming out of the sea. The Great Sea being the Mediterranean Sea, and he's using a lot of symbolism there. But that's the Great Sea right there. When it talks about the seas of the Bible in Daniel chapter 11 verse 45, and again I want to show you the landscape here before I get to the Netanya question there. And when it talks about the seas of the Bible, well, there's one of the seas right here, the Mediterranean Sea. Mediterranean Sea on Israel's west coast. And then of course when we are in Tiberias tomorrow, the sea to the north, as we drive north tomorrow, would be the Sea of Galilee. And then of course when you drive south toward Jerusalem, you'll get to the area of the Dead Sea, the Dead Sea being south. And if you drive further south, you would go to the Red Sea. So we have the Mediterranean Sea here to the west, Sea of Galilee to the north, Dead Sea to the east, Red Sea to the south. And again, we're taking our nightly walk here. I wouldn't say nightly, but I felt I wanted to do it tonight. And again, I am at peace here, because this is going to be my home for 1,000 years. But even right now, and let's see if we can get a really nice view here. There we go. Choppy Mediterranean. And so, like I said, why is this town, let me get my thing here. Why is this place called Netanya? If you remember my past teachings from here, this town was founded in 1928 and was founded by Jewish immigrants who came here, wanted to settle here in the land of their forefathers, in the land of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov in Hebrew. But they needed money. And what better person to ask to fund this project of building what is today Netanya is a man by the name of Nathan Strauss. And so you might remember him. You might remember him as the owner of Macy's. So of course they knew he had a lot of money. But Nathan Strauss wanted to get involved in the building of this country. And so he was given the Jewish immigrants a lot of money to help build this place. And but he stopped after a while and told them that he could no longer keep sending them money. Well, they weren't too happy. They were pretty disappointed. And so what he did was he said, listen, there's really nothing more I can do for you anymore. I can only give so much, and and that's what he did. So instead of naming the town after him, say Nathan or Strauss or Nathan Strauss, whatever. They just call the place Netanya. And that's what it is today, Netanya. And again, we're taking our walk, experiencing the nightlife here in Netanya. And again, I mean, this place is just absolutely peaceful. I mean, you think you'd find me walking in Times Square at night or any of the major parks in New York at night? There's just no way I would do anything like this. No way, absolutely not. But here in the Holy Land, here in the land of Israel, I can do exactly that. And, you know, there are a couple of modern day towns today, like where I am right now, Netanya. And then, of course, Tel Aviv as well, founded by immigrants in the 20s. And today, they're just hustling, bustling places in terms of agriculture, business, things of that sort. Let me point this out here too. It's like a mushroom here. Look at that color on that. Isn't that awesome? And of course, it's changing colors here, as you can see. All kinds of different colors. That's why I love this place. That's why it's the land of the Bible, the future home of the kingdom for 1,000 years. And we don't really like staying in Tel Aviv much, not because it's a dangerous place. It's too crazy. You can barely find any parking. You got a bar on every corner, every block, I should say, for that matter. It's just absolutely crazy. It's very congested, you know. And well, I mean, if you look at it, Tel Aviv, it is right near what is today Yaffo or Joppa in English, Yaffo. And Yaffo or Joppa is a suburb of Tel Aviv. And when you think of Joppa in biblical times, it was called Jaffa. That's where Jonah fled from the presence of the Lord. We take our tour groups there a lot. And we all know the rest of that story. But it was also from Joppa that Peter gets this sheep vision in Acts chapter 10 of all these unclean animals. And he hears a voice saying, "Arise, Peter, kill and eat." Of course, the voice is that of the Lord. And he says, I don't put anything that's uncommon in my mouth or anything that's not kosher. I'm a Jew. And Jesus' response to him is, well, God has cleansed, don't call unclean. And what he was showing is that Gentiles are about to come into this church, which was at first primarily Jewish. The first Christians were Jews. And then we see in Acts chapter 10, Peter, now, I don't know how he got to Caesarea, one of our tour stops here. And so in order for him, I'm gonna see if I can make my way over here. In order for him to leave Joppa, it would either be by foot, would have probably taken him days, or by ship. But we don't know exactly how he got there. The Bible doesn't tell us. But he would have left Joppa, leaving from the south. Let me see if I can point it out over here to you. So he would have left Joppa from this direction over here. If I can point it out. You see again the choppy Mediterranean. He would have left from that direction over there, going all the way towards Caesarea in that direction. I know it's kind of getting some of the clouds there. And then he ends up meeting up with a Roman centurion. Can you imagine that? A Roman centurion, not too liked during that time amongst the Jewish people. And Peter preaches to Cornelius. He becomes the first Gentile convert to Christianity in Acts chapter 10. And now the Gentiles are coming into this entity that we call the church, which first primarily began with Jewish believers. And then, of course, it mushroomed ever since. Of course, the church is now more Gentile dominated than it is Jewish dominated. But that's why Todd Baker and I are here in Israel, carrying out the 51st Israel Gospel Outreach. Todd's been doing it for 21 years. He invited me to come with him in 2015, been doing it ever since. We did not go to Israel in 2020 with the COVID pandemic, and 2021 because this country was shut down. So nobody was allowed in. But now we're back. And this has been the third time I've been in Israel now since the country's open.